في كتير طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس، وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح. أصل المسيح هو الحياة، هو الطريق 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 الطريق
Welcome to The Way TV. Glad to be back. We're going to go through this real quick. I've got a bunch of clips for Arizona, California. I think I have pretty much put together the battle plan for ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood, what they plan on doing soon in the United States, how to survive in the West. This is from Dabiq, the publication of ISIS. I actually was contacted by Special Forces, and they wanted a copy of this, which I provided to them. Some of the people are listening. Some of the people are learning. When I meet with the FBI and some of the lead detectives on counterterrorism, they're starting to figure it out. Okay, this is all ISIS, how to survive in the West, in conjunction with the Muslim Brotherhood. And a lot of people don't realize the Muslim Brotherhood is all over the United States. They're on every major college campus. They're part of Council on American Islamic Relations on the college campuses. They're called the Muslim Student Association, Islamic Society of North America. They've been inside the White House, given Qurans to George W. Bush and met with Obama. Now here, real simple like, I used to be a battle planner. I was an enlisted and an officer for the United States Marine Corps a million years ago. Vietnam veteran, did counterintelligence, counter-guerrilla warfare, 18 years old, leader of a Combined Action Program group team, which is the same as the Green Berets. In any case, this is a map of the Colorado River here, going from the top down to the bottom. And these are the 5 bridges going over the Colorado River. Kingman, Arizona is right back over here, and they're going towards California here. The screen and stuff is backwards, so that's why I kind of struggle with this. So anyways, up here is Highway 68, which goes from through Bullhead City over the Colorado River. Highway 40 from Kingman, the old Route 66 all the way to Chicago. The 62, which goes by Parker Dam. The Interstate 10, which goes from the west coast to the east coast to the west coast. And Interstate 8, which goes from San Diego and all the way to the through Arizona. But in any case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bridges. I have spoken to one of the water experts in the county where I live, and he has been briefed many times by experts on terrorism and poisoning water. I showed him this map the other day, and I said, is it possible, or do you think thinkable, that on each one of these 5 bridges here, that the Muslims will just take a big rig full of propane or some explosive. By the way, propane's more explosive pound for pound than C4. Stop in the middle of the bridge, blow themselves up, and in there, suicide bomb, using big rigs, blow themselves up, and then poison will also go into the Colorado River. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. He said, yes, absolutely, it makes sense to me, and I think they will do that. Part of the problem we're having with ISIS, how to survive in the West, working with the Muslim Brotherhood, is that our leaders are working with the Muslim Brotherhood. So clip number 1 is proof, evidence, and facts of this. Mina, clip number 1, please.
Thank you all very much for your hospitality. We've just had a wide-ranging discussions on the matter at hand. like the good folks standing with me, the American people were appalled and outraged.
Good. Every one of the guys standing around George W. Bush in that video are Muslim Brotherhood. They're all Muslim Brotherhood. The guy right behind his ear is the guy, one of the chief leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood for the whole United States. Now, I believe that we could easily make a case, and as I recall, Ted Cruz has tried to put through legislation to outlaw the Muslim Brotherhood. I think that's extremely intelligent, because all these people that are going, not all Muslims are bad. Okay, then I say, not all Muslims are good. And in fact, can you tell who's Muslim Brotherhood and who's not? Now, Muslim Brotherhood, out of the Quran itself, they use right here with the crossed swords. And at the bottom, this Arabic here at the bottom is from the Quran, Surah 860, chapter 8, verse 60. In that chapter, it says to terrorize and murder the infidels. Now, that is not compliant with the Constitution of the United States. That is not compliant with any of our laws, not with the spirit or the letter of any of our laws. In no place do we base anything on terrorizing and killing people, and yet the Muslim Brotherhood, this is their logo. Each one of the guys that were standing next to George Bush in that clip, they're all Muslim Brotherhood. They all subscribe to that. Of course, they'll all deny that. Now, this is kind of funny. It says, how to fight ISIS? Well, you can stop bombing them, and then you can bring them to Canada or the United States. It's right in fitting with what's saying. Here's some verses from the Quran that the Muslim Brotherhood believes in. The compulsion in religion, Quran 2:256. And fight them, the unbelievers, until there is no fitna, rebellion, and until the religion of it is all for Allah, Quran 8:39. Whoever changed his Islamic religion, then kill him. Apostates are killed. This is from Sahih Bukhari 9.84.57. Allah's apostle said, I have been ordered to fight the people till they say, none has the right to be worshipped by Allah. Sahih Bukhari 8:387. Now, Sahih Bukhari is like the King James Bible to Christians. Bukhari is to the Muslim world. Clip number 2. Clip number 2.
Please forward a link to this video so that people may learn the basics of Islam. And please keep in mind that the term Islamophobia is an oxymoron, since having a phobia means having an irrational fear. Fearing Islam, which wants 80% of humanity enslaved or exterminated, is totally rational, and hence cannot possibly be called a phobia. This video is not limited to any one religion, but the following is true. The shoe bomber was a Muslim. The Beltway snipers were Muslims. The Fort Hood shooter was a Muslim. The underwear bomber was a Muslim. The USS Cole bombers were Muslims. The Madrid train bombers were Muslims. The Bali nightclub bombers were Muslims. The London subway bombers were Muslims. The Moscow theater attackers were Muslims. The Boston Marathon bombers were Muslims. The Pan Am Flight number 93 bombers were Muslims. The Air France and Entebbe hijackers were Muslims. The Iranian embassy takeover was by Muslims. The Beirut U.S. Embassy bombers were Muslims. The Libyan...
So when they call us Islamophobic, I am afraid of Islam. I don't like Islam. It's dangerous. I've been talking about in the Quran itself, it says, go out there and kill the unbelievers. There's 22 verses in the Quran that command every good Muslim to do what Muhammad did. Muhammad murdered, beheaded, raped, child molester. He was a pedophile. He beheaded people. He was a thug. He was a pirate and a brigand of the desert. And they took all of his stuff right after he passed away. And then they went and spread Islam, the dawah, through jihad by killing and murdering and raping and doing everything they did. Some humorous stuff in the works of the Quran, or I'm sorry, in the Hadith. Muhammad says that you could drink camel pee for your health. So here's a dude getting some camel pee. And we actually have some cases in Saudi Arabia where they sell this stuff in like restaurants. And this is pretty grisly, but it's a true story. One of the owners was actually urinating into the bottle himself and selling his own urine instead of camel urine. Here's a pretty funny joke. It's in Arabic where they're talking about the same thing, where the guy reaches under here and he gets the camel urine. I'll read it to you from the Hadith. It's pretty funny. That's again from Sahih Bukhari, Ablutions Wudu, Volume 1, Book 4, number 234. He said, so the Prophet ordered them to go to the herd of milk and camels and to drink their milk and urine as medicine. So they did as the Prophet told them to do, and they got healthy. So according to Islam, if you drink camel piss, it'll make you healthy. Okay, clip number 3. Clip number 3.
Islam has religious, legal, political, economic, social, and military components. The religious component is a beard for all of the other components. Islamization begins when there are sufficient Muslims in a country to agitate for their religious rights. When politically correct, tolerant, and culturally diverse societies agree to Muslim demands for their religious rights, some of the other components tend to creep in as well. Here's how it works. As long as the Muslim population remains around or under 2% in any given country, they will be, for the most part, regarded as a peace-loving minority and not as a threat to other citizens. This is the case in United States, Australia, Canada, China, Italy, and Norway. At 2 to 5%, they begin to convert from other ethnic minorities and disaffected groups, often with major recruiting from the jails and among street gangs. This is happening in Denmark, Germany, United Kingdom, Spain, and Thailand. From 5% on, they exercise an excessive influence in proportion to their percentage of the population. For example, they will push for the introduction of halal food, which is clean food by Islamic standards, thereby securing food preparation jobs for Muslims. They will increase pressure on supermarket chains to feature halal on their shelves, along with threats for failure to comply. This is occurring in France, Philippines, Sweden, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Trinidad and Tobago. At this point, they will work to get the ruling government to allow them to rule themselves within their ghettos under Sharia, the Islamic law. The ultimate goal of the Islamists is to establish Sharia law over the entire world. When Muslims approach 10% of the population, they tend to increase lawlessness as a means of complaint about their conditions. In Paris, we are already seeing car burnings. Any non-Muslim action offends Islam and results in uprisings and threats, such as in Amsterdam and in other Western cities, with opposition to Muhammad cartoons and films exposing Islam. Such tensions are seen daily, particularly in Muslim sections in Guyana, India, Israel, Kenya, and Russia. After reaching 20%, nations can expect hair-trigger rioting, jihad militia formations, sporadic killings, and the burnings of Christian churches and Jewish synagogues, such as in Ethiopia.
Good job. So somewhere between 10 and 20%. For America, that would be 33 to 66 million people. Now, the entire United States military is less than 5 million. You get to 10%, 33 million, you're going to have battles if you want to be a kafir like me, an infidel. I don't want to submit to Islam. I don't like Islam. It's horrible. Beat the hell out of women if they won't. Your wife, if she won't have sex with you. You're going to have sex with little boys, little girls. It's in the Quran. All of this stuff's in there. I don't want anything at all to do with the Quran. It is absolutely opposite of our Constitution. Does not allow a Bill of Rights whatsoever, no First, no Second Amendment, and it does not allow majority rules with minority rights. Now, this next clip talks about Ayatollah Khomeini sexually molesting and assaulting a 4-year-old girl all night, and at the end of the clip, it clearly states the reason he did it was because in the 22 verses in the Quran tells him to do that. So that would be clip number 4. Clip number 4.
ويسألونه ويجيب عن أسئلتهم ولما حان وقت النوم دخلنا يا دكتور
نعم.
ولما حان وقت النوم وكان الحاضرون قد انصرفوا إلا أهل الدار أبصر الخميني صبية بعمر 4 سنوات أو 5 سنوات لكنها جميلة جدا، فطلب الإمام من أبيها سيد صاحب إحضارها للتمتع بها. وافق أبوها بفرح بالغ، فبات الإمام الخميني والصبية في حضنه، شو بقول إيه؟ ونحن نسمع بكاءها وصراخها طوال الليل. عيلة 4 سنوات وهذا الكيت في العمر قاعد بالقوة يعاشر صبية عندها 4 سنوات، يعني من القبل والدبر، حتى البنت تبكي وتصرخ ولا رحمة في قلبه. المهم أنه أمضى تلك الليلة يا دكتور، فلما أصبح الصباح وجلسنا لنتناول الإفطار نظر إلي، وهو الصراخ كان فضيحة، نظر إلي فوجد علامات الإنكار واضحة في وجهي. الصبية 4 سنين تصرخ، إذ كيف يتمتع بهذه الطفلة الصغيرة وفي الدار شابات بالغات راشدات؟ طب كان يتمتع بواحدة بالغة ولا رشيدة؟ كان بإمكانه التمتع بإحداهن فلم يفعل. المهم فقال لي الخميني بيقول له بقى سيد حسين ما تقول في التمتع بالطفلة؟ إيش رأيك؟ قلت له سيد القول قولك، قولك والصواب فعلك، وأنت إمام مجتهد ولا يمكن لمثلي أن يرى أو يقول إلا ما تراه أنت أو تقوله، ومعلوم أني لا يمكن الاعتراض وقت ذاك. سيد حسين إن التمتع بها جائز، ولكن بالمداعبة والتقبيل والتفخيذ.
كتاب تحرير الوسيلة صفحة 221 مسألة رقم 12. قال الخميني: لا يجوز وطء الزوجة قبل إكمال 9 سنين دواما كان النكاح أو منقطعة، وأما سائر الاستمتاعات كاللمس بشهوة والضم والتفخيذ فلا بأس بها حتى في الرضيعة.
Good. Okay, now this next clip shows how Islam is using our First Amendment to subvert and come in and destroy our First Amendment. Clip number 5. Clip number 5.
You and they take you in for torture. No. In this country, one of the loopholes of this government is they allow the freedom of expression, where a man and a woman can go and strip their honor in the strip clubs. We have the same right over here to put this flag down and step on them. It is the same. It is the equivalent to freedom of expression.
Good job. Now in there, it's kind of hard to hear. He says one of the loopholes in America is that they have the First Amendment and you won't get arrested. You can burn the flag, desecrate the flag, do all that stuff that you want. Now, out of the Nuremberg trial, they brought in to there the conditions how you can declare an organization to be a criminal organization, and just membership itself was unlawful. So in World War II, they could name the Nazis as being unlawful for being a member of this group called the Nazis who wants to destroy the First Amendment. It's interesting, the Nazis used their version of freedom of speech, First Amendment, to do the same things that come in and subvert so they could get rid of the First Amendment, which they did using the Gestapo and people of that nature. That's exactly what the Muslims are doing as they grow and they plan on blowing up these 5 bridges on the Colorado River, which I believe will happen within 5 to 50 years maximum. And that will all be based, again, right here on the Quran, which is shared by all the terrorist groups, chapter 8, verse 60, to terrorize and kill all the infidels. That's true whether it's Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, all of those guys. So they are using the First Amendment as a shield, as a cloaking device to come in and say, well, Islam is legal according to the First Amendment. So I've come up with the idea. I know I can't win that battle yet. I will in 5, 10, 15 years, but I can start. And what I can do, as has done in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood, this is their logo right here with the crossed swords and the Arabic at the bottom, is to terrorize and kill all the infidels. The Muslim Brotherhood started in 1928 in Egypt, then the Nazis, who were the Muslims who were Nazis, a lot of them, they all came from Yugoslavia, today Kosovo, Albania, and Bosnia. The Nazis who were part of the Holocaust, murdering the Jews, almost all of them were Muslims, and they were operating under Surah 860, and Adolf Hitler actually took the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, a Muslim Brotherhood, and put him in charge of the Holocaust. So that was declared, all of that, Gestapo, Nazis were all declared illegal when we won the war. And so I think it's very possible, and Ted Cruz has already tried to do it, and I support him, to outlaw the Muslim Brotherhood. We can outlaw Taliban, we already have. Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, Taliban, Boko Haram, none of them are legally, lawfully allowed to do business in the United States, and yet all of them are doing the 22 verses of the Quran. Clip number 6, clip number 6, clip number 6.
But in those days, there was not a developed prison system to deal with prisoners of war, and prisoners were taken in as slaves, and then the women were taken as captives, and then allotted to the male soldiers or sold on the open market. If they were allotted to a male soldier, it was taken for granted that the male soldier would then have access to her sexually. Or it was taken for granted that the male soldier would then have access at the end of any war.
Very good. So in war, if the Muslims are fighting the Christians, or the Muslims are fighting the Hindus, or the Muslims are fighting the New Agers, or the Muslims are fighting the Buddhists, and by the way, they're fighting all of them already. The Buddhists are attacking and killing the Muslims because of those things right there, because everywhere that Islam goes, by dawah, by evangelizing, converting to Islam, they always eventually go to jihad and kill everybody. So in Islamic law, if our United States Marine Corps or United States Army were all Muslims and they capture girls, they can rape them all day long, and it's not considered rape. It's a trophy of war. If you did that in the United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, or Coast Guard, you would be thrown in prison forever. Clip number 7. Clip number 7.
Ahem! Molotov Mitchell, your ignorance and arrogance concerning Islam and the Prophet, peace be upon him, is infuriating. As a Muslim, I am proud of my heritage, a heritage that dwarfs the West. While your armies were crusading around the world, killing innocent people, Khwarizmi, a Muslim, was inventing algebra. Ever heard of that? How about chemistry?
During the Crusades, that was the 12th century, 1200 years AD after Jesus. The Greeks, the Assyrians, they invented algebra before Christ, a couple hundred years, maybe even 1,000 years before Christ. Muhammad wasn't even born until 570, so the guy is telling us that in 1200 algebra was invented. He goes on with chemistry and these other things. Perfect, thank you. And it's just what they always do. They always lie. Clip number 8. Clip number 8.
You know, Al-Banna, who created it, his idea is different than some of the people that are on the fringe of it here. Just like Republicans and Democrats are more conservative and more liberal, that's what we have here. But the message is not to demonize the Brotherhood here, but to create
not to demonize
the Brotherhood, but and we don't necessarily engage.
When that clip was made, I was standing right there. The gentleman who said, do not demonize the Muslim Brotherhood, obviously doesn't care about Surah 860 and doesn't care about the 22 verses in the Quran that says, do what Muhammad did, which is Surah 860, go out and terrorize and kill the infidels. That is the counterterrorism commander for the Los Angeles Police Department, Michael Downing. He was describing and gushing how the Muslim Brotherhood has become kinder, nicer, better. Well, I'm telling you right now, the Muslim Brotherhood, you see this flag right here, This is an Al-Qaeda flag in New York in a parade, a public parade with New York police all around them. In fact, it gets so bad that the New York commissioner, Mr. Kelly, Ray Kelly, is actually there marching. These are Muslim Brotherhood, and he's there with these terrorist flags, and these terrorist flags were all over the place. One of my friends was there and told me about it. That's how I found out about it. And there's Ray Kelly too. So now you've got the LAPD and the NYPD aiding and abetting Al-Qaeda, which is significant. It is qualitatively no different from ISIS, Boko Haram, Taliban, Muslim Brotherhood. They're all based on the Quran, right here in the Arabic. They're right there, 860 from the Quran. Terrorize and kill the infidels. Clip number 9. Clip number 9.
For the opposition here, any worries about them?
Fighting for the opposition. They're my heroes.
Of course, McCain was one of the strongest proponents of...
That's John McCain from Arizona in Libya, and he's talking about the ISIS, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, crazy people who murdered in a few weeks, a few months after that, who ended up murdering in Benghazi our ambassador and the other guys. Clip number 10. Clip number 10.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. I'm deeply regretful that I cannot be with you this evening. As you listen to my message, I'm either in Qatar, Abu Dhabi, or Egypt, meeting with my Arab law enforcement colleagues. We are working on strategies of cooperation, public safety, and education on a worldwide basis. I want to thank CARE for the friendship that has been extended to me and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Executive Director Hussam Alouche and the staff are exceptional.
He is thanking the Muslim Brotherhood, Hussam Alouche, in Corona, California, the mosque that was part of the San Bernardino massacre. He is thanking the Muslim Brotherhood leader. That is the sheriff, now retired, of Los Angeles, California. They're doing the same thing in New York. They're doing the same thing in Texas. They're doing the same things in Georgia. Kill the infidels wherever you find them. Kill the infidels wherever you find them. It's got a mask in her hand. It's pointing out the difference between a moderate and an extremist. If you believe in the difference between a moderate and extremist, please tell me, show me, prove to me how George W. Bush, as we showed in that video, surrounded by the Muslim Brotherhood. They're all Muslim Brotherhood. Are these moderates or extremists? I'm done. Good night.
في كتير طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس، وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح، أصل المسيح